File item 91, AB 863. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 863 by Assemblymember Dodd and others, and act relating to modified limousines.
Mr. Dodd, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, AB 863 is back from the Senate on concurrence. The amendments extend the regulation drafting period in order to accommodate more recent data. I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 69, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 92, AB 982. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 982 by Assemblymember Eggman, and act relating to child care.
Ms. Eggman, you may open.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 892 is back for concurrence. The Senate amendments were technical. This bill simply expands the type of agencies that can refer homeless children to services. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 69, no 0. The measure passes. We're going to pass and retain file item 93. Going now to file item 94, AB 1279. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1279 by Assemblymember Holden, and act relating to music therapy.
Mr. Holden, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 1279 is back from the Senate on concurrence. The Senate amendments narrow the scope of the bill to ensure that this is strictly a title protection bill. AB 1279 has the support of numerous organizations, has bipartisan support, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 71, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Going now to file item 95, AB 1422. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1422 by Assemblymember Cooper, and act relating to transportation.
Mr. Cooper, you are recognized.
Speaker and members, Senate amendments are clarifying and make this bill better. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 72, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Going now to file item 96, AB 1443. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1443 by Assemblymember Chow, and act relating to voters.
Mr. Chow, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 1443 establishes in the Office of the Secretary of State a Language Accessibility Advisory Committee. The bill is sponsored by the California Secretary of State, Alex Padilla, has no opposition, and I respectfully ask for aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 72, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Going now to file item 97, ACR 63. The clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 63 by Assemblymember Mainshine and others, relative to the Tony Gwynn Memorial Freeway.
Mr. Mainshine, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. ACR 63 is back in the Assembly on concurrence. This will designate a section of Interstate 15 in San Diego County as the Tony Gwynn Memorial Freeway. Thank you, and I respectfully request an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 73, no 0. The ACR is passed. Senate amendments are concurred in. And going to file item 98, ACR 65, the clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 65 by Assemblymember Breaux and others, relative to the James Mitchell Mitch Waller Memorial Highway.
Mr. Breaux, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, ACR 65 is back from the Senate. It names a portion of the 405 freeway after Westminster Police Chief Mitch Waller, a resident of my district in Mission Viejo. The Senate changed one word from state to interstate. I ask you in joining me in honoring my constituent with an aye vote.
Mr. Harper, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. I additionally ask for your support for this measure. within the 74th District. Mitch Waller did serve the city of Westminster admirably as not only the police chief but also as city manager.
Seeing and hearing no further discussion, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 71, no 0. The Senate amendments are concurred in. Before we proceed to other items in the file, I want to move back to one brief guest introduction. Colleagues, we have a former member of this House who is here with us. He was a former majority leader of the Assembly as well as a member of the Senate. Please join us in welcoming back the Honorable Charles Calderon. And with that, colleagues, we're going to pass and retain file items 103 through 109 and proceed to Senate third reading. File item 110, SB 451. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 451 by Senator Lara, enacting a pupil instruction and services.
This item will be presented by Mr. O'Donnell. Mr. O'Donnell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. SB 451 by Senator Lara encourages K-12 school districts to adopt educational school counseling programs to better position California students for success. California has the lowest student-to-counselor ratio in the country at one counselor for every 1,016 students. SB 451 provides a critical first step for California to strengthen the presence of counselors to ensure our students are provided a well-rounded education. This bill has enjoyed bipartisan support, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 64, noes 3. The measure passes. We're going to pass and retain file item 111, moving to file item 112, SB 193. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 193 by the Committee on Veterans Affairs, enacting to the state militia.
Ms. Irwin, you're recognized.
Senate Bill 193 updates the Military and Veteran Code to ensure that references to federal law reflect current federal law by removing outdated reference language. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 75, no 0. The measure passes. Moving to file item 113, SB 230, the clerk will read.
Senate Bill 230 by Senator Hancock, enacting to parole.
Mr. Quirk, are you prepared to present? Mr. Quirk is recognized.
Thank you, Speaker and members. SB 230 by Senator Hancock simplifies and clarifies the parole system. The criteria for being eligible for parole stay exactly the same. You're going to be decided by the parole board under the exact same conditions, and the governor will review it. What's different is that under current rules, the parole system has certain rules that, to my mind, are just completely counterintuitive. For example, if you were brought up on 3 charges and 2 were dismissed, you can still, after being determined eligible for parole, still have to serve additional time for 2 charges that you weren't convicted of. This makes no sense at all, but it's the way things are written. This bill would get rid of these counterintuitive, stupid provisions. Thank you very much. I ask for your aye vote.
That's a technical term.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Mr. Quirk, what's your pleasure?
Move the call.
Move the call. Mr. Quirk has asked for the call to be moved on this item. We're going to pass and retain on file items 114 to 118. On file item 119, we're going to pass temporarily. File item 120, we're going to pass and retain. Moving now to file item 121, SB 508. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 508 by Senator Bell, an act relating to transportation.
This bill will be presented by Mr. Frazier. Mr. Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. We have been funding a share of local public transit agency operations since 1971. With the passage of the Transportation Development Act, signed into law by then Governor Ronald Reagan, this bill updates the Act to rationalize and clarify the sometimes confusing and outdated requirements. For example, we want to encourage transit operators to seek other non-state sources of operating revenue, primarily from the fare box, but also through local sales tax measures or grants from the federal government. SB 508 would count such non-state revenues when calculating the required ratios of state revenue to operating cost. The California Transit Association is sponsoring this bill, and there is no opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 60, noes 12. The measure passes. File items 122 through 124, we're going to pass and retain. File item 125, SB 485. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 485 by Senator Hernandez and others, an act relating to public sanitation.
This item will be presented by Mr. Rendon. Mr. Rendon.
Mr. Speaker and members, SB 485 is specific to the sanitation districts of Los Angeles County. Current law establishes the district's power to manage wastewater and solid waste. This bill would expand their authority to allow them to assist local jurisdictions in Los Angeles County in stormwater and dry weather runoff management projects to comply with water quality permits. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 70, no 0. Measure passes. We're going to pass and retain file item 126. Now going to file item 127 for purposes of amendment. SB 741. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 741 with amendments by Assemblymember Gatto.
Mr. Gatto, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 741 would ensure that there is transparency when police departments use devices called stingrays to capture cell phone data. The amendments remove all remaining opposition by clarifying that a sheriff does not need Board of Supervisor approval for the technology, but still needs to notify the public to comply with the privacy components of the bill. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on these wonderful amendments.
Ms. Waldron, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We support the amendments.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, we can take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. The bill is out to print and back on file. File items 128 through 131, we're going to pass and retain. Going out of file item 135, SB 379, the clerk will read.
Senate Bill 379 by Senator Jackson, an act relating to land use.
Mr. Gordon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Climate change is probably the foremost challenge of our time. While California has become a national leader in mitigating the effects of climate change by reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, much more work needs to be done in this state to adapt to the effects of climate change that we're already experiencing. There are many efforts underway in California by the administration to address climate change, and there are a couple of bills moving through the legislature which would require much better coordination by state agencies. SB 379, however, focuses on efforts at the local level. Currently, there is no requirement in law that local governments consider climate adaptation as part of their general plan process. SB 379 would help solve that problem by requiring local governments to update the safety elements in their general plan to include climate adaptation and resiliency strategies. Beginning January 1st, 2017, updates would be required the next time that they update their local hazard mitigation plan, which many local governments already have. If they don't have such a plan, they would have until January 1st of 2022 to update their safety elements. The bill would require them to establish goals, policies, and implementation measures for climate adaptation, similar to what is already required for flood and fire planning in their safety elements. Recent amendments allow local governments to take advantage of work already done, which will save them time and money. SB 379 represents a significant step forward that will help ensure that cities and counties are planning for the safety of their communities into the future. The bill has received bipartisan support in the Local Government Committee and is supported by the American Planning Association, the Fire Chiefs Association, and Local Government Commission. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 48, noes 22. The measure passes. File item 136 will pass and retain. File item 137 we've already disposed of. Moving now to file item 138, SB 504, the clerk will read.
Senate Bill 504 by Senator Lara, an act relating to court records.
Mr. Bloom, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 504, the Starting Over Strong initiative, offers us a chance to improve economic opportunities for youth by removing the juvenile expungement fee. In California, we have youth who have served their time for minor misdemeanors and are now ready to turn their lives around and make an honest living. There's a system in place that allows juveniles to seal their records so that their mistakes as youth do not hinder their future opportunities to succeed. But it comes with a price tag. Adjudicated youth must pay $150 to petition the court to seal his or her records. And this fee is an impediment for youth who may be eligible for expungement. So SB 504 seeks to remedy this problem by removing the fee for youth under the age of 26. This bill has enjoyed bipartisan support, and I want to highlight that the District Attorneys Association removed their opposition. The bill was amended in appropriations to clarify that nothing in the bill prohibits courts from enforcing an unfulfilled order of restitution. Members, let's give our youth an opportunity to succeed, to become responsible, law-abiding citizens. It's in the best interest of all of us to pass SB 504, and I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 50, noes 18. The measure passes. Moving now to file item 139 for purposes of amendments. SB 530, the clerk will read.
Senate Bill 530 with amendments by Assemblymember McCarty.
Mr. McCarty, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. The amendments to SB 530 do the following. They clarify the levels of liability insurance required for pedal-powered pedicabs. They require annual inspections by the pedicabs by the local authorities to ensure safety compliance, and clarify that the costs be offset by an operator fee. And lastly, these amendments clarify that vehicles are not eligible for use on freeways and limit their operation on roads to 40 miles or less. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on the amendments. The bill go out to print and back on file.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, we can take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. The bill is out to print and back on file. We're going to pass temporarily file item 140, and go to file item 141, SB 539. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 539 by Senator Glazer and others, enacting into public property.
Dr. Weber, you're recognized.
Yes, Mr. Speaker and members, I rise today on behalf of Senator Glazer for his Frederick Douglass Liberty Act, SB 539. This bill prohibits the use of an elected leader or senior military officer of the Confederate States of America to be named on state or local property. Our buildings should be named for people of great accomplishments who are role models for the entire community. This is the basis of the SB 539 by Senator Glazer, the Frederick Douglass Liberty Act, which seeks to remove the names of elected and military leaders of the Confederacy from all public places, including parks, buildings, roads, and schools. The goal of this legislation is not to erase these names from our history books. We as a state should not have our children, however, looking up to individuals who fought to preserve the system of slavery. It is also, for many, a surprise that we have at least 2 of our schools in the state named after Confederate General Robert E. Lee, one in Long Beach and one in San Diego. Renaming these schools would be an important symbolic gesture which would teach our children to understand and appreciate history, but also that they have the power to right wrongs, take actions, and control their destiny. We should strive to make our communities tolerant and accepting places, and this legislative body should take the necessary steps to remove the names of Confederate leaders from a celebrated place in our public signs, schools, and public buildings. I respectfully ask for your aye vote of SB 539.
Ms. Gonzalez, you're recognized.
Yes, I rise in support of this bill, and quite frankly, having one of these schools in my district, Robert E. Lee Elementary in Paradise Hills in my district, currently serves a population of 97% children of color. Quite frankly, I think it's amazing that in this day and age, we expect, especially African American children, to go to a school named after a general who, and we can sit here and talk about the history of an individual and a man, and maybe he didn't like where he ended up, and maybe he changed his mind, and maybe it wasn't all for good, but at the end of the day, led a rebellion against the United States so people could continue to enslave their ancestors. There's something wrong with that. You should not have to go to a school that honors that, and we should be able to erase those names from our schools, not our history books. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, Dr. Weber, you may close.
Yes, members, on behalf of Senator Glazer and behalf of many of the children and individuals of California, we ask for your support of this particular bill. I think most of us know in our communities nothing is more precious than naming, because naming really gives permanence and recognition of what we believe in. And we spend a lot of time thinking about what we name our buildings, what we name our schools and our streets after, in honor of individuals that we hope our children will emulate at some point in their lives. And so as a matter of teaching lessons to our communities and those around us, respectfully ask for your aye vote on this matter. This bill has enjoyed bipartisan support in the Senate and even in many of our committees. And so I respectfully ask for your aye vote for SB 539.
This time, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 57, noes 11. The measure passes. Colleagues, we're going to pass and retain file items 142, 143, 144, 145, and now move to file item 146 for purposes of amendments. SB 762, the clerk will read.
Senate Bill 762 with amendments by Assemblymember Ridley Thomas.
Mr. Ridley Thomas, you're recognized.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, member, I rise to present amendments to SB 762. It narrows the best value pilot program to 8 counties: Alameda, Los Angeles, Placer, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, Solano, and Yuba. There are also a number of technical changes. I respectfully request an aye vote on the amendments.
Ms. Waldron, you're recognized.
Without objection on the amendments.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, we can take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor of the amendments, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. The bill is out to print and back on file. File items 147 and 148 we're going to pass and retain, and we'll also pass and retain 149, 150, and 151. Going now to file item 152, SB 342. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 342 by Senator Jackson, enacting into unemployment insurance.
Mr. Eduardo Garcia, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. SB 342 is a simple measure that requires the California Workforce Development Board to develop programs that focus on helping individuals with barriers to employment. SB 342 passed the Senate floor, and all of Senate and Assembly committees unanimously. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 72, no 0. The measure is adopted. File item 153, SB 361, the clerk will read.